Hey, 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 all you Marvel Rivals fans out there. Thanks for tuning in. Today, we are going to talk about Marvel Rivals Toon tier rankings. This is going to be awesome. We're going to talk about all the characters, what makes them good, how they maybe could be improved, and we're going to go one by one through the whole list. So, without further ado, I give you the Marvel Rivals character tier list. That was fun, wasn't it? All right, so let's get into it. Our first character, and I'm going to say, unfortunately, he is the character most in need of some love. He is the lowest tiered character I have. He's all down there by himself. He's down at tier D. He is Black Panther. We need to show Black Panther some love, guys. Come on. I think he's got great potential to be a terrific brawler. I think some changes that could help him out is if he gets maybe some armor on his basic attacks, sort of like Reaper, or a health regeneration like Reaper in Overwatch, where he's doing damage, he's using his claws, he gets bonus health on his sprint rend, which you will be using a lot, but I think maybe his basic might help if he's getting some health regeneration from that too, sort of similar to Magic's kit. Or I think he could benefit from his passive getting a subtle boost. Instead of getting a damage boost at low health, I think he should get a damage boost for a limited amount of time anytime he takes damage. Because that's what his suit does, right? That's what we learned about. I don't think it should be restricted just to low health. I think he should get a little damage boost when he's in there brawling it up and he gets focused, because he does get focused. And that's the reason why he's so squishy right now. That's why I have him at the lowest tier, tier D. But moving on, let's talk about tier C, where we've got a couple characters down here, but I think there is still some room for improvement for these guys, and we're going to jump right into it. The first character I want to improve is Iron Man. Now, I love Iron Man's kit. The only problem I really see with Iron Man is that he's a little squishy, and when he's floating up there, doing damage with his repulsor blast and kind of getting in there with Unibeam, he's very vulnerable, especially if they have a Punisher, if they have a Hela, or just some of these massive damage dealers, a Star-Lord that can kind of get up in his face and really wreck him in no time at all. And he doesn't have a lot of protection up there on his own. But what he does have is his armor overdrive, his feature that you're going to use a lot of because that boosts up all his abilities a little bit. And with that armor overdrive, I think you should actually get some armor overdrive. You know what I mean? Right now, he doesn't get any extra protection or shields or just a little bit of a boost. And I think that would go a long way to making him really much more powerful of a toon to use and much more viable, where he's not going to get sniped out of the sky by a Hela, It's just something I think that could really add to his kit a little bit. He's a fun character to play. I have to get better with him myself, but I think adding a little bit of actual armor to armor overdrive, I think would go a long way into making Iron Man a bit better of a toon. Just my thoughts. But let's move on to the next toon in tier C that I think needs a little bit of help, and that is Namor. Now, I don't think Namor needs a lot. I just think he needs a little bit of tweaking. The biggest thing I see is probably his Blessing of the Deep. I love it. It's a great shield. It protects him, but you can't move while in it, and water moves a heck of a lot. So I think that he should be able to move while he's in his shield and not taking damage. I also wouldn't mind a little bit of health regeneration in there, sort of like the soldier's biotic orb in Overwatch. If he just gets a little bit of health from being protected by his ocean environment, I think that would go a long way. I'd also love to see his Horn of Proteus boosted just a little bit. We want to summon Giganto, and we just want a little more effect with him, I think. That's all. Not much. Maybe even not at all. I'm not sure. I'm on the fence about that one. But it could use a little tweaking. Maybe his shield, if he gets that healing, maybe that'll solve all my problems with Namor. But I do like playing him, and I think he just needs a little love. Not much. That said, let's move on to our last toon that I've ranked down in tier C, and that is the amazing Storm. Now, I don't really have a lot of complaints about Storm. I like her kit. I like playing her. I think the one thing I want her to be is a little faster. I want her hurricane area of effect for your own team to boost them a little bit faster. Maybe 10%, maybe 15, I don't know, something like that. I just don't feel like it's quite fast enough. Maybe 10%. 10% is probably good, actually. It just needs a little bit more of a boost. I love using Lucio in Overwatch. I love his speed boost that he gets. And if you have some good players on your team that can really move and do damage, it is super effective. And I think she just needs a little bit of that. She suffers a little bit from Iron Man syndrome where she's sort of floating up high. She's super exposed. I'm not as worried about the shield issue with her, though. I do like her damage area of effect when it turns into the lightning storm and everyone gets a damage boost. I think that's fine the way it is. I think she just needs a little movement. I think that'll help her and give her some escape ability to hide a little bit quicker and give your teammates the boost of speed where they can do a little more damage more effectively or get away faster, whatever it may be. But otherwise, I really like her kit. I think her ultimate is dominating. I really just hope she gets a little movement boost in there. Really feel like our tornado that can whip around your teammates. You know what I mean? But all right, so that wraps up Tier C. Let's get into Tier B. And now that we're talking about characters in Tier B, I think we're talking about characters that I really don't have any issues with, that I think are pretty good on their own and, really probably don't need any tweaking. But we'll talk about characters that maybe need to be brought back as we move up into Tier A and, of course, to Tier S. All right? So our first toon of Tier B is Magic. And I really don't have any complaints about Magic. The only thing that I think she might benefit from is maybe a little functionality, a little better functionality with her Discmaster, her teleporter that she uses with Black Panther exclusively. I don't know if there's an opportunity for someone else to use that as well, and not just Black Panther. Maybe another team up, a synergy of some type. I know if you let everyone through, then it's probably becoming Doctor Strange, even though it's much more on a very limited portal. It's not quite, but maybe the range needs to be a little bit farther for the two of them. I'm just not sure. I like it, but maybe there's something there that could be better. Everything else, though, I love. She's a massive damage dealer. I think she gets awesome damage in there when she gets rocking. She moves around. She creates a lot of chaos on her own, and I just think she's great. Sort of as she is, doesn't really need a lot. And speaking of creating a lot of chaos and moving around a lot, is my next character in Tier B, and that is Spider-Man. Spider-Man's amazing. He moves around so fast. I think he's pretty beast. I love his ult. I think it does a pretty good amount of damage. A little bit of area effect, but if you're right next to somebody, it'll kick their butt pretty well. He just is he's a high skill level player, man. That's all you gotta be. You gotta really know his stuff in and out to use him effectively, and that takes a little bit of a learning curve, sort of like a Genji in Overwatch, I guess. But yeah, no real complaints here. I like him. I think he's fun. I just have to get better at him. And so my next character that I'm going to add to Tier B is my first Vanguard, my first tank, and that's going to be Penny Parker. And I don't really have any issues with Penny. She just happens to be the lowest ranked tank. That's why she's down here in Tier B. It's not bad. I think she's totally average. I think she knows her role, and she certainly has her place and purpose, especially when you really need to control a zone. She is great at that. I just don't, overall, maybe there's something missing for her. She's fine. She's fine. You know, that's all I can say. She's effective, but she's fine. She's not overpowering. She's not terrible. She's somewhere in the middle. Maybe she's perfectly average, and that is just fine. And so my next character is actually also a tank too. So let's talk about him as well, and that is the Incredible Hulk. Yeah, you heard that right. I got him down here in Tier B. Not for any fault of his own. I just think he's kind of average. He's all right. He's got great purpose when you use him right. He's got a great kit. I love all his abilities. His team up with Strange and Iron Man, I think, is all great. I think one thing that's missing, but that he could really benefit from, is when he starts taking damage, especially as Hero Hulk, maybe Monster Hulk too, is that he starts getting damage boost himself. Because, you know, when you piss Hulk off, he just gets stronger and stronger and stronger. And I think that's one little aspect, a character trait that's missing right now. I think if you did that, I think that maybe it might put him too over the top, but I think that's something maybe we should experiment with and check out and see what that does to Incredible Hulk, because he's a fun character to play. He's very diverse, obviously. He's got 3 different characters, and they all play a little bit different from each other. So that's one thing that I'm thinking about, keeping him down in tier B for right now, but hey, I love Hulk. In the meantime, I'm going to keep the theme going of Vanguards in tier B. And the next tank that I'm putting down here, the final tank of the final character of tier B, is Magneto. I love Magneto. I kind of wanted him to be like the best toon in the game when it came out, because he was always my favorite back in the comic days and the cartoons and in the early video games. And Magneto's just he's an awesome character. I just think he's got average, you know. He's got a decent shield, could be a little stronger. He's got a decent attack, especially with the team up with Scarlet Witch. I like his ult too. I'm not gonna lie. I like charging it up and getting that asteroid big. But I just feel he's kind of average, you know, and that's no fault against him. I'm not quite sure what I'd do to enhance his capabilities. Maybe give his shield a little more of a boost, or maybe he could have a Namor like regenerative bubble, like he always did in the comic books, where he'd have that purple bubble sort of that would let him fly and do all that stuff too. I don't know what's there. I like Magneto though. I don't really have any problems with this kit. I don't really know what you could add to him either. So that's why he's in tier B. Love you, Mags, and maybe we'll see you in tier A one day. But for now, that's it for tier B. Moving right along, let's jump into tier A. The first character I've got in tier A is, yet again, another Vanguard, another tank. It's Doctor Strange. Now, he's the second highest rated tank. Again, no real problems with Doctor Strange at all. I think he's super fun to play. His portal is awesome. There's a long cooldown in between, but that's fine. I don't think you can use that portal too many times in a game, to be honest with you, or else it would be completely unbalanced. Maybe the one issue with him is when he builds up that dark magic from using his basic that you sort of see represented on his cloak, then he becomes immune to healing. And that seems like the only negative thing I can think about it. I mean, I think it's a good thing that he has that ability and can release that maelstrom of madness. But, the inability to heal him is a tough thing. So that's something you got to stay on top of. Again, not a bad thing, just an intricate part of his kit. And one of the few sort of negative things in a character's kit is that he has something that potentially limits and inhibits him in some way, too. Just something to keep in mind as you're playing tank. Again, I have him ranked as my number 2 tank, so as you can see, you can guess who's coming next. It's Rocket Raccoon! Big surprise, it's not my final tank. It's Rocket, my first healer, coming off the board for tier A. Rocket is so much fun to play. He's just constantly shooting his gun, like as you'd expect. He's shooting heliorbs at your teammates too to boost them. And he's got a respawn tech pod, and he's just awesome, man. I don't really have any problems with Rocket at all. He just happens to be my lowest ranked healer, only because I think the other ones maybe are slightly more effective. That's all. We don't really have anything bad to say, I don't think, at this point. Love Rocket. Love his ultimate. Yeah, great stuff. We're going to keep it moving, though, and jump right into our next tier A toon, and that is Mantis. Mantis. The only reason I have her slightly above Rocket is because of her Sleep Spore. I think it's super effective when countering a lot of ults and abilities out there on the other team. That's really the only reason. She does tremendous healing. Yeah, she's super effective. She's a great character, and I think slightly gets the edge over Rocket Raccoon's respawn ability because I think the sleep on some of these characters' ults is just that more effective and more helpful to a team really making pushes. And speaking of pushes, we're going to push on to our next toon. Our last and final Vanguard tank is Groot, and I have him in tier A. That's right, no tanks in tier S. Sorry, guys, but I think Groot is the best tank for me personally. I love the way he really controls and can dominate a space and take it over. I think because he can heal himself and give himself sort of extra damage with his 2 different walls, I think he's just more effective. You don't really need to rely on your other players as much for healing or for damage boost, because you're doing that yourself. And he's got a great team up with Rocket. And he can really isolate an enemy toon too to help your team focus them down. That's why I have him as my number 1 Vanguard or tank. And the last toon I'm going to have in tier A is Scarlet Witch. Okay? She is just great. She's a great toon to play. She's super effective. She's super easy to pick up too. If any Moira mains out there from Overwatch, you just kind of hold out that finger and you're doing damage. You also get some nice projectiles. And did we talk about her ult? Oh my god. Her ult is insane. If you don't keep that thing in check, she will just constantly wreck a team. Constantly wreck a team. It is a bomb, and it just does massive damage. It's ridiculous. It's probably the most OP ult in the game, I think, if you ask me. Yeah, Scarlet Witch, not a bad thing to say about her. Just be sure to keep her in check if you're playing against her, because that ult can change the game entirely. So that's it for Tier A. Now we're going to get into the crazy stuff in Tier S. And for the most part, these toons are toons that I think maybe are a little bit overpowered overall, just with their basic abilities. They don't even need their ult necessarily to pop off and really wreck a lot of teams. I think their basics are super, super effective, or their kits are super, super effective when played well, and I think can really just dominate a game from the get-go. And the first toon of Tier S I'm going to list is Star-Lord. He is just a beast. His guns are so effective. They can reload really quick with this little flip, and you just continually do damage. A lot like Tracer, but probably more powerful than a Tracer. He just wrecks, and he moves around so well. And if he's out of ammo, he can go into his little sort of Death Blossom, his little Reaper-like move, where he just shoots around crazy in a corner, and then he can just take off, hit the jets, and fly away. And God forbid he has his ult up. Oh my god, you have to keep that thing in check, because he can race around the map, flying around, and just whittle you down with like a soldier's visor mask, you know, where he just auto-locks targets and brrr, almost one clip and your character's toast unless they're a big, strong toon or have some sort of defense up. Star-Lord is a wrecker. A wrecker. He just really dominates the game, and I think he's fairly easy to pick up too. So a good toon for, I think, a lot of starters to actually play. But go try it out. Let me know what you think. Star-Lord kicking butt. So that's going to bring me to my next toon, who is a healer, and the penultimate healer at this point. We only got 4 more characters to talk about, and this character is just dominant, and it is Loki. Loki's clones are insane. Not only can you heal your teammates, but you can do damage to the multiple of 3, because there are 3 Lokis out there healing at the same time or doing damage at the same time, and he is just super effective at layering, at controlling a zone. When you have all those Loki doppelgangers up, it is trouble for any team. And did I mention, he could turn into a character on another team and pretty much pop their ult? Yeah, so if they got a Punisher, if they have a Scarlet Witch, it's just pure chaos, as Scarlet Witch would say. He is super effective because he can swing back and forth so well. He controls zones so well, and that's why I have him in Tier S. I think he's a really dominating character. His skill level is a little harder to learn. He's a little tougher toon to pick up, but once you have it, man, does he just rock in my mind. But let me know what you think. I want to hear about it, all right? So now we're down to our third toon, and it's going to be another strategist, another healer, and our last healer of the night, and that is Luna Snow. And Luna is my favorite healer because she's relatively easy to play, and she does a great job at what she does. Her Light and Dark Ice, it either damages enemies that you hit with it, or it heals allies. You just basically want to stay in line and keep firing. Not only that, but you can share the stage where you grant one of your teammates a little orb that constantly heals them as well. Or you also have your Ice Arts ability, which does a little more damage and a little more healing just in a projectile form, a stronger projectile form, that is. Her ultimate is great. She can give damage boost or healing boost. It's kind of reminds me of Zenyatta a little bit with the area effect. And she's dancing, moving, grooving. She's having a great time. And I guarantee you will have a great time too if you play Luna Snow. She's the best healer in the game, I will say that. She's very easy to pick up. She's only 2 stars. And I think you're just going to have a lot of fun if you play her, and a lot of success once you learn her kit a little bit and how best to use it. She can just control a map and just heal the heck out of your team and do some decent damage as well. That's always important for these supports, these healers, as some people call them, but you want to do some damage as well, and she does a great damage because she can boost her own damage as well in addition to her teammates while she's healing them, basically. Just heal your teammates slightly off to the side and then shoot past them and do damage. She just, as long as you're sitting back there shooting, you're going to be great. You're going to be good. Luna's a great character. Check her out. And yeah, you'll have a good time, I promise. So that just leaves us to 2 final characters. We've already done all the vanguards, all the tanks. We've done all the strategists, all the healer supports. So now we just have 2 DPS sort of duelists, if you will, that are left. And the first one is Punisher. The reason why I have Punisher so high is because his basic does a ton of damage from any range. Up close, his shotgun absolutely wrecks in like 2 shots. Forget about it. If you have a rocket or something with you in addition to his turret form, and let's not forget his ultimate, it's just absolute annihilation. Projectile bullets 24/7 from Punisher. He can focus down shields quickly. He just does everything. He can snipe these toons that are in the sky so easily. Just shoots them all down, no problems at all, and just deals a massive amount of damage. Deals constant, massive amounts of damages. That's what Punisher is. He is a Punisher. He punishes the other team. He's a really easy character to pick up, and one I think you'll have a lot of fun with. Shoot, and you'll dominate the scene. Trust me on this. Love Punisher. He's my number 2. Which then just leads me to the one probably obvious at this point character, the DPS that seems to reign supreme over all the games I've played in Marvel Rivals, and she is a DPS. She is Hela. Hela rocks. Hela is vicious. She hits so hard. She's a lot to deal with. Her ultimate is pretty powerful as well too, and you can't really take her out of it so easily. She actually has a lot of health during it, and at which point she just kind of reverts back to herself. She doesn't actually like die in ultimate form when it's starting to go off. Hela just is a beast. Certainly when she's teamed up with Loki, she has that quick revive for him. That's an amazing combination. But she, as a sniper, can just wreck from the back row. Her damage range is insane. She's the closest thing to Widow, but she's more effective because those nails come out that much faster. Her thorns, whatever they're called. They come out that much faster, and they hit so hard. It's just, if these enemies are distracted by some tanks in your front row or somebody flanking them, you can pick off anybody in the distance with just 2 or 3 tosses. It is that strong. She probably needs to be nerfed. That's something that's said a lot in the community. But she's so much fun to play. You can just wreck another team with her in your back line. As long as you're not getting sniped out by another Hela yourself, you're probably pretty safe. Maybe a Spider-Man or a Star-Lord will get you eventually, but otherwise she doesn't really have a lot of competition because a lot of those characters you can shoot down. She's super effective, does a ton of damage, and that's why she is the number 1 toon on the Marvel Rivals tier ranking list, in my book. But those are all my thoughts, guys, of all the toons. But as always, these are up for debate. I want to hear what you have to say. So please let me know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Check out my other videos if you can. I've got a great in-depth character breakdown on all the other toons out there called Get to Know Your Toon, which goes in depth, like I said, about all the characters in great detail. But let me know what you think about this. Let me know what your top tier toons are. Let me know who you like playing. And if there's something that I missed or you think I should tweak, or if you have some character suggestions yourself that you think that should be added to the character, I'd love to hear them. So give me that feedback and engagement. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time on the next Marvel video. The beta's coming out real soon, so get ready, people, and I hope this helps you all get there, all right? Thanks for watching. We'll check you out next time. Bye-bye.